I know this is in Hebrew, but this just shows you what we were speaking about before. That are the what? The aqueducts. Okay. I hope you have this map, and if you don't, I'll send you one in English. The aqueduct map. Okay. The upper and lower aqueduct. I know it's a little bit counterintuitive, but the lower aqueduct goes to the Temple Mount. Lower aqueduct goes to the Jaffa Gate, which we thought used to go to the Herod's Palace today. There's a little debate, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, why did I stop you here, and why is it so critical? And it's something that, Oren asked me to do, but I would have done it anyway. And that is to clarify where the walls went in the Second Temple period. The first thing you have to realize is this wall does not exist.
Yes.
This wall is imaginary. There's no wall here. As we walk through the wall, we can understand even better why this wall doesn't make sense. Don't build a wall in the middle of a hill. That means the enemy army can stand right next to you and attack. Where does it make sense the wall would be built? On the edge of the hill, which is where we found it. Remember I pointed out the Yechiel Zellinger excavation. 2001 to 2004 or 5, Yechiel Zellinger excavated part of the wall that existed in that time period. And he found convincingly two walls. One is the Second Temple period wall, which we believe was built by someone during the Hasmonean period. No, later, much later. We don't know exactly who. It's quite a debate, but one of the candidates could have been one of the Hasmonean kings, like Alexander Jannaeus, Yanai, or something like that. It could have been maybe the first Seleucid king who was good to Jerusalem. Maybe that's Antiochus III, not the fourth. He wasn't so nice. And then there's a second wall, which was built by Eudokia. Okay, we'll speak about her a little bit later. In the 5th century Byzantine period, the queen Eudokia builds a wall, and she's going to build the Siloam church. Okay, and that wall again was found where? At the edge of the hill.
The wife of Theodosius.
We think we found the third wall over there, which is going to be very important. What was the third wall? Which was actually the first chronologically. The wall of Hezekiah. Remember King Hezekiah?
Yes.
You saw the broad wall? Okay, so we think the wall went over there, and there's a good place where Yechiel didn't find any pottery, but he thinks the wall went there. And this leads us to the walls that are described by Josephus. Josephus describes 3 walls, and this is why this gets confusing. Because even though these walls are all from the Second Temple period, we use Josephus's numbering. Okay, Josephus's numbering. Josephus, remind us, is writing when? In the year 80-90, Common Era in Rome after the destruction. Okay? And what are his walls? He's going to say, the first wall, okay, the first wall was built by David and Solomon. Okay, this is Byzantine period, I'll get up. David and Solomon. Now, really? Was it built by David and Solomon? Probably not. But it could be that when he says the first wall, what's he referring to?
City of David.
No, yes, but what was he specifically referring to?
The Gihon stream, maybe
wall,
fortifications.
No, but the wall here. The first wall would have been the wall that had already existed at the beginning, as long as they can remember. And so because it was so old, basically it was Hezekiah's wall. And because it was so old, they said David and Solomon, not because they knew historically that it was David and Solomon, but because for them. And that is the wall that was around the city of David, okay, up around all the city. This is the first wall. Okay, everybody, I want everybody to understand that. And Yechiel Zellinger's excavation is going to be right here. Okay, so this is the wall surrounding the city of David on all of what we call today Mount Zion. All the way at the edge, beyond the cemetery of Conrad Schick, there's a wall there. By the way, we knew about this wall already at the end of the 19th century. There was an excavation by archaeologists Bliss, Dickey, and a few others in the PEF, the Palestine Exploration Fund, that went along this wall. So it's no big surprise that the wall is here. That's the first wall. Who's numbering? Josephus. Okay, now.
Chronologically, is it also the first?
Yes. And it's the wall that exists for most of the Second Temple period. And we'll understand later on why that's so important. Meaning, this is pretty much the city. This at Temple Mount. That's a city for almost all of the Second Temple period. But the city grows to the north, and they built new neighborhoods, particularly along the Temple Mount. And therefore, we think, even though we're not 100% sure, during the time of Herod, they built another wall that encompasses the new neighborhood. And we're going to call that what? The second wall. And we do not have very good remains of the second wall. That's this wall here. You see it's in a dotted line. We don't really know who. We think it's Herod, or during the time of Herod, and he built this wall. Everybody get it? And what does it do? It incorporates the new neighborhoods built alongside the temple into the wall. Second wall. Now you see it does this zigzag here. This zigzag is that Christian people would be willing to look at this. Why? Because what has to be outside the second wall? Holy sepulchre.
The
You
crucifixion
understand that?
side.
We don't know
very-
that for sure, but obviously from the Christian tradition, that Holy Sepulchre is outside the wall. This wall has to not include it. Every single map. Some maps even have not a dotted line, even though we've not found any real remains of this wall. Maybe along here, but that's already part of the first wall. What you see in the Cardo is probably part of the first wall. Now, the third wall, which is pretty much the easiest one to remember, is the one that goes all the way over here. It goes into the center of town, nearby the Iriah building. That's this wall. This wall was built by Agrippus around the year 40. Okay, Agrippus, Herod's grandson, becomes king, starts building a wall. He never completes the wall. The wall is not completed in his lifetime. It is completed in the year 66 by the rebels. Okay? Year 66, he completes the wall. But what?
When did he start it?
Around the year 40. But the Romans and and he dies, so there's not completed. This wall is what you see when you go visit the Holy Land model, and you see, oh, the city is so big. It never was so big, encompassed by a wall, because it was never really completed. There were houses that were built in this area, and a few tombs and a few other things. By the way, you'll ask, why are the tombs built inside the wall? They weren't. They were tombs before that was part of the wall. Got it? And the wall was built around them. That's the tomb of the kings and the tomb of a few other people that are mentioned that are some of them we don't even know about today. Anyway, that's described by Josephus. That's the third wall, which part of it we found in Sheikh Jarrah, near the Albright Center, near Vanderbaum Gate, near the Paz gas station, near the old American consulate, and all that stuff. Got it? American colony. That's over here. Okay, that's all the way up over here. That's the third wall. You see part of the wall is in a straight line. That's because we have found remains of it. If it's dotted, that's assumed, whatever. Those are the three walls that Josephus describes. Really, for the only ones that are really important for us today are the first wall. And that we'll talk about a little bit later on. It is already late enough to go to the... Yeah.
The second wall is what is